Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something real quick. Respect is one of those things everybody wants, but not everybody knows how to get. You can't just walk into a room and demand it. You can't just put on a suit, raise your chin, and say, "Respect me." No, it doesn't work like that. Respect is earned, it's drawn to you. It's something people feel when they watch how you carry yourself, how you treat them, and how consistent you are. See, here's the truth. People don't remember every word you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That's psychology working right there. And if you can tap into just a few of those little secrets that play deep in the human mind, you can shift the way people see you. You can walk into any room, whether it's a boardroom, a classroom, or your own living room, and suddenly folks lean in a little closer, listen a little harder, and value you a little more. Now, I'm not talking about manipulation. I'm talking about real principles, things that make people respect you not just today, not just while you're in front of them, but even when your back is turned. Because let's be honest, the measure of respect ain't in how they treat you when you're standing there. It's in how they talk about you when you're not around. So today, I want to break down 5 secrets from psychology that'll change the game for you. These aren't tricks. These aren't gimmicks. These are timeless truths. And once you understand them, once you live by them, respect won't be something you chase. It'll be something you attract. One of the biggest mistakes people make when it comes to respect is thinking it starts with somebody else. They wait for other people to validate them, to clap for them, to say, "You're good enough," before they finally start to believe it themselves. But let me tell you, respect doesn't work like that. Respect begins right here with how you see yourself. Because if you don't respect you, why in the world should anybody else? Think about it. Every single time you walk into a room, before you even say a word, people can feel your energy. They pick up on your body language, your posture, your presence. If you walk in with your head down, shoulders slouched, mumbling your words, you're already telling the world you don't see much value in yourself. And the world, well, it just mirrors back what you project. But if you come in standing tall, looking people in the eye, speaking like your words matter, suddenly the whole atmosphere shifts. That's not arrogance, that's confidence. And confidence, my friend, is the soil respect grows out of. I'll never forget a moment from years ago. There was this young man who came up to me after a talk, and he said, "I don't know why nobody respects me. At work, people overlook me. In my family, they never take me seriously. Even my friends laugh off my ideas." And I looked at him, and I could tell right away, he didn't believe in himself. He was asking for respect from the outside while starving himself of it on the inside. So I told him, "Listen, people treat you according to the price tag you put on yourself. If you act like you're cheap, they'll put you on discount. But if you carry yourself like you're priceless, like you belong, they'll treat you like you're valuable." And that's exactly what psychology teaches us too. People respond to what's called social proof and cues. That means they don't just respect you because of what you've done. They respect you because of how you present yourself. If you carry yourself like someone worth listening to, folks are far more likely to listen. Confidence sends a signal to the brain, and the brain tells the heart, "This person matters." Now, don't get me wrong. Confidence isn't about being the loudest voice in the room or pretending to have all the answers. That's not confidence. That's insecurity dressed up in a shiny suit. Real confidence is quiet. It's steady. It's the belief that even if you don't know everything, you still have worth. It's the ability to admit mistakes without crumbling. It's showing up as yourself without trying to be a copy of somebody else. And when you stand in that space, people respect you because authenticity is magnetic. Some folks think respect is about status, cars, clothes, titles. But you can have all of that and still be disrespected because respect doesn't come from the outside in. It comes from the inside out. When you respect yourself, you set the tone for how people deal with you. You teach them how to treat you. If you don't honor your own word, why would they? If you keep putting yourself last, why wouldn't they? But the moment you start honoring your own value, the world takes notice. There's a little shift that happens when you finally get it. You stop apologizing for existing. You stop shrinking to make other people comfortable. You stop waiting for permission to step into who you already are. And guess what? That shift is exactly what earns respect. People admire courage. They admire conviction. They admire someone who knows their worth, because deep down, they wish they had the same strength. I want you to think about someone you really respect. Maybe it's a mentor, a teacher, a leader in your community, or even a family member. Chances are, what draws you to them isn't just what they've accomplished. It's how they carry themselves. It's the way they make you feel when they walk in the room, the way they stand firm in their values, the way they don't waver when life tests them. That's what respect is rooted in. And you know what? You can cultivate that too. It starts with the story you tell yourself about yourself. See, psychology has this principle called self-fulfilling prophecy. What you believe about yourself, you unconsciously project. If you believe you're worthy of respect, your behavior aligns with that belief, and others catch on. If you believe you're unworthy, you give off signals that tell people to overlook you. And the wild thing is, you're usually proven right, because people mirror the story you've been feeding yourself. That's why the first secret to gaining respect isn't about anyone else at all. It's about you fixing the mirror you're looking into. Start telling yourself you belong. Start walking like you've got purpose. Start speaking like your words matter, because they do. Start valuing your time, your energy, your presence. Because when you do, people won't just see it, they'll feel it. And when they feel it, respect follows naturally. One of the fastest ways to lose respect in this world is to be unpredictable in the wrong way. You say one thing, but you do another. You make a promise, but you break it the moment it gets inconvenient. You talk about values, but when the test comes, you fold. People watch that, and whether they ever say it out loud or not, they're taking notes. And those notes add up to one conclusion. I can't rely on this person. Respect doesn't live in that kind of space. Respect lives where consistency is present, where your actions line up with your words, where people know what to expect from you because you've shown them over and over again who you are. Now, here's the truth. Anybody can talk a good game. Anybody can sound impressive for a moment. But what really makes people pay attention is when your behavior and your character keep showing up the same way day after day. You can't build respect on empty talk, because people will test your words against your actions. And if those two don't match, the trust disappears. Respect is trust multiplied by time, and the glue holding that together is consistency. I remember hearing someone once say, "Don't tell me what you're about, show me." And that stuck with me, because the older I got, the more I realized people don't respect your intentions. They respect your patterns. You can say you're honest, but if you lie when it's convenient, people don't see honesty in you. You can say you're dependable, but if you show up late every time, people don't see dependability in you. You can say you're loyal, but if you switch sides the second it benefits you, people don't see loyalty in you. What you consistently do is what defines you in the eyes of others. Consistency doesn't mean being perfect. Nobody respects perfection because perfection isn't real. What people respect is when they know your word has weight. If you say, "I'll be there at 7," and you show up at 7, people start to trust your word. If you say, "I'll take care of it," and you handle it, people know you're reliable. And over time, that reliability builds into something powerful, respect. The person who keeps showing up is the person others will eventually look up to. Think about it this way. Imagine a friend who calls you only when they need something. One week they're around, the next week you can't even find them. One day they're supportive, the next day they're too busy. Over time, you stop expecting much from them, right? Because the pattern tells you not to rely on them. Now imagine another friend who, even if they're not perfect, is steady. You know what you're going to get. Rain or shine, you can count on them. Which one do you respect more? See, it's not about the big, flashy moments. It's about consistency in the small things that tells people this person's word matters. Psychology backs this up, too. Our brains look for patterns to predict the future. When someone is consistent, our brain relaxes. We know what to expect from them. That predictability feels safe, and that safety grows into trust, which blossoms into respect. But when someone is inconsistent, the brain goes on alert. It says, I don't know what this person is going to do next. And nobody respects chaos. You know where people really notice consistency? When life gets hard. When things are easy, anybody can act right. But when the storm hits, that's when people are watching. Do you keep your integrity when you're under pressure? Do you stay kind when you're frustrated? Do you still tell the truth when a lie would be easier? That's when consistency speaks the loudest. That's when respect either grows deep or disappears altogether. I've seen people who had all the talent in the world but never earned real respect because they couldn't stay consistent. They'd shine for a moment, then vanish. They'd impress you today, but tomorrow they'd let you down. And then I've seen people who didn't have the biggest spotlight, who weren't the most gifted, but they earned mountains of respect because you could always count on them. They kept showing up. They kept being steady. They let their actions and their words line up until you didn't have to question who they were anymore. You just knew. That's why I tell people all the time, don't chase respect with big speeches and bold claims. Build it brick by brick with consistency. Because every time you follow through on your word, you're putting another brick in the foundation. Every time you stand by your values, you're putting up another wall. Every time you show up when you said you would, you're strengthening the roof. And one day, you'll look up and realize you've built a whole house of respect. Not because you demanded it, but because you lived it. So if you want people to respect you, don't just talk about who you are. Show them. Over and over again, be steady. Be reliable. Let your actions echo your words so loudly that you don't even have to convince anybody of who you are. They'll already know. That's how respect grows, and that's how it lasts. One of the most underrated skills in this world is listening. Not hearing, anybody with ears can hear. I'm talking about listening, real listening. The kind where you put your phone down, you look someone in the eye, and you're not just waiting for your turn to talk. You're actually present with what that person is saying. Let me tell you something, people can feel the difference. They know when you're just nodding your head versus when you're truly taking in their words. And when people feel heard, they feel valued. And when people feel valued, that's when respect flows back in your direction. Here's the thing. Most people aren't really listened to in their daily lives. Think about it. At work, everybody's trying to prove they're the smartest. At home, sometimes folks are too busy or distracted to slow down. Out in the world, everybody's talking over each other, trying to get their point across. So when somebody finally comes along who doesn't compete for the spotlight, but instead says, I'm here, I'm listening, tell me more, that person instantly stands out. It's rare, and that rarity earns respect. I remember sitting with a friend once who was going through a really tough time. She had all kinds of people giving her advice, telling her what she should do. But the look on her face told me she wasn't looking for advice. She was looking for understanding. So I just sat there and listened. I didn't interrupt. I didn't try to fix her life in 5 sentences. I let her pour it out. At the end, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "You're the first person who actually listened to me." And I realized something powerful that day. Respect doesn't just come from talking well. It comes from listening well. Psychology teaches us this too. There's a principle called active listening, where instead of just passively hearing someone, you reflect back what they're saying, you ask clarifying questions, and you make them feel understood. That simple act lights up the brain. It signals to the other person, I matter. My words are important. And people respect those who make them feel important. It's not about stroking their ego. It's about acknowledging their humanity. Think about the people you admire most. Often, it's not just because of what they accomplished. It's because of how they made you feel in their presence. Great leaders, mentors, and even friends often share this one trait. They know how to listen deeply. They make you feel like, in that moment, nothing else in the world matters but you. And you walk away from that kind of interaction feeling lighter, stronger, seen. That's respect working in both directions. Because when someone gives you their full attention, you naturally give them your admiration in return. Now, let's be real. Listening deeply isn't always easy. Our minds wander. We get distracted. Sometimes we're so eager to respond that we miss half of what's being said. But that's exactly why listening stands out. It's rare. The world is noisy, but when you quiet yourself enough to really hear someone, you cut through all that noise. It's like offering water in the desert. And people don't forget the one who gave them water. Here's another thing. When you listen deeply, you gain more than respect. You gain insight. People tell you things when they feel safe around you, and those things can open doors you never even knew were there. Opportunities, wisdom, connection, all of that grows out of listening. It's a two-way street. You give respect by listening, and in return, you earn respect by being the kind of person others trust with their words. And don't think this is just about big conversations. Sometimes it's the little moments that matter most. When your child is telling you about their day, and you actually stop what you're doing and give them your eyes, that's where respect is planted. When your coworker is sharing an idea in a meeting, and you don't cut them off, but instead encourage them to finish, that's where respect is planted. When a stranger starts talking to you in passing, and instead of brushing them off, you give them a few genuine minutes of your time, that's where respect is planted. And like seeds, those moments grow. Listening also builds something deeper than just surface respect. It builds loyalty. People remember who made them feel safe enough to open up. They remember who didn't rush them, who didn't dismiss them. And loyalty is just long-term respect in action. It's the kind of respect that lasts even when you're not in the room. I've seen people who talk nonstop, who dominate every conversation, and sure, they get attention, but attention isn't the same as respect. Then I've seen the quiet ones, the ones who lean in, the ones who listen before they speak, and over time, they're the ones people truly value. Because respect isn't just about how loudly you can talk, it's about how deeply you can hear. So the next time someone's speaking to you, don't just listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes. Listen with your body language. Listen with your heart. Show them you care not by how quickly you respond, but by how well you understand. Because when you give someone that gift, you'll find they'll hand you back something priceless: respect. One of the strongest ways to earn respect isn't by saying yes to everybody. It's by knowing when to say no. A lot of people struggle with this because deep down they want to be liked. They want to keep the peace, avoid conflict, make sure nobody's upset with them. So they stretch themselves thin. They take on more than they can handle. They allow others to cross lines that should never have been crossed. And then they wonder why people don't respect them. Let me tell you the truth. People don't respect endless availability. People respect boundaries. Because boundaries tell the world, I know my worth, and I refuse to be treated less than that. Think about it. If you walked into a store and saw price tags missing from everything, you wouldn't know the value of a single item. You might assume it's cheap, or you might haggle until you get it for less. But when you see a clear price tag, there's no confusion. Boundaries are the price tags of your life. They tell people how to treat you, what's acceptable, what's off limits. And the moment you set those boundaries, you start teaching people how to respect you. I remember a young woman telling me once that she always felt used by her friends. She was the one they called when they needed a ride, when they wanted to vent at 2 a.m., when they needed money, when they needed anything. But when she needed them, they were nowhere to be found. She was exhausted, drained, and angry, but she kept going along with it because she didn't want to lose their friendship. And I said to her, they're not respecting you because you're not respecting yourself. You've taught them that you'll always be available, no matter what. You've got to set boundaries. That doesn't mean you stop being kind. It means you start being wise. And sure enough, when she started saying no sometimes, when she stopped dropping everything for people who wouldn't do the same for her, a shift happened. Some friends walked away, but the ones who stayed began to treat her differently. They began to value her time more because now it had limits. That's the psychology of boundaries. When you draw a line, you signal self-respect. And when people see you respecting yourself, they can't help but respect you too. The problem is, many people confuse boundaries with selfishness. They think if they say no, they're being rude. But there's a difference between being selfish and being self-respecting. Selfishness is all about me, me, me. It disregards other people completely. Boundaries, on the other hand, acknowledge both sides. They say, I care about you, but I also care about me. That balance is what earns admiration because it shows maturity. It shows you're not afraid to stand up for yourself, but you're not stepping on others either. Psychology tells us that boundaries are essential for healthy relationships. Without them, resentment builds. You start feeling taken advantage of, and that bitterness leaks out in passive-aggressive comments, cold shoulders, or silent frustration.